Thank you for stopping in at another Down the Road Show podcast brought to you by our friends over at Jade Healing, jadehealing.co. Sorry, Jade, love you. I got this CBD salve all over my neck, on my hip, and my lower back, just so I can make sure I can get through this podcast. Plus, I got some of the CBD drops in my mouth, which makes it nice and fresh breath for my next guest, which I am excited to bring in. How are you doing, TJ Storm?
I am good, man. It's good to see you, brother.
It's good to see you, too. It's good to see your face. It's been a while. TJ is one of my favorite old con friends. We've hung out at many a San Diego Comic Cons together, gone to see movies together. I've gone to a movie premiere of yours. And I just love cheering you on as an actor and as a human being, because it's like, I never know what you're going to be in next. You can never talk about what's coming up next.
I know.
But what you currently are is you're Godzilla.
I am.
You are Godzilla. Not so it's you do the motion capture for that and so many other great characters, but since it's not a speaking role, you're pretty much Godzilla.
I am Godzilla.
Yeah. So and you were also in a Punisher movie, so I wore my BLM Punisher that Jerry put out to raise money. Yeah, I was excited to go buy this. Yeah,
I love that BLM. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is just dope. So let's talk about Godzilla first. No, wait. Actually, let's get to the beginning. How'd you get into martial arts?
My mom, actually. She got me into the martial arts when I was a little kid. I was hyperactive and I needed focus and discipline, and she's like, "You want to try martial arts?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." And then I took a couple of classes, and apparently they hit you in the martial arts. Didn't know that. So when I learned that, I was like, "Okay, I'm done." They bruised me, and I'm done. I'm good. And she was like, "Nope, you are finishing this. You started it. You're gonna finish it." And she literally made me finish. And that is my humble beginnings in the martial arts. And I thank my mom for that opportunity. She is the one who got me into that and got me there. And great, largely thanks to her, I have a career because of my martial arts in the dance world that I came out of.
So what is your martial arts discipline, and what did you start with, and what all do you do now?
The primary disciplines were Shitoryu Karate and Arashiru Karate. Those are Japanese karate and Okinawan-based American karates. And then I went on to Taekwondo, Northern Shaolin, Budoshin Jiu-Jitsu, Dokushu Ninjutsu, Capoeira. I was fortunate to get to study, obviously, Taekwondo. I got to study under lots of incredible masters. And they guided me to where I am now. And I, in turn, teach as well now. I still love teaching.
I didn't know you teach.
Yeah, I still teach. And I love it. It's a great way of life.
So how do you use that discipline you learned in martial arts in your everyday life, especially with everything going on as a Black man in America?
A lot about what you learn in the martial arts is mind, body, spirit. And you learn to balance those things. You also learn to discipline yourself and your emotions, which comes in useful now. When you see these things happening, you just take a moment to remember to breathe. That alone helps. And then you can deal with the world from a more calm place rather than react. And then on the other side of that, the flip side of that, being an actor, oddly, it's a way of communication. It's a way of seeing the world. Getting to be an actor has given me this wonderful ability to put myself in other people's shoes. So when somebody's telling me their worldview, I don't immediately want to strangle them because I only understand mine. And it's so easy. You hear somebody talking, you're like, what's wrong with you? But the reality is they came up differently than I did. And I want to understand and I want to see what they see. Now, that doesn't mean they're right. And it doesn't mean I'm right. But it does allow me to get a better understanding and a better grip on why they may feel that way or why I might feel a certain way. And I learned from that. So hopefully I become wiser as a result.
Yeah, it's giving you the patience to kind of help see other people's perspective and at least listen to their perspective. I know I have no patience for racists, period, these days. Like, I'm just done. And it's all over my Facebook page if you've ever been there.
No, I feel you. I understand. I absolutely understand. And it is so hard to watch this information go by your face and not to say anything, not to do anything. And on the opposite side, not to react bigger than we already are reacting. We want to do more. We want to scream at them and say, just shake them and say, racism should be dead. But it is definitely not. And I don't think those people who are affected by it understand systemic racism. They don't even understand it. And so they don't know that they're feeding it and they are a part of it. And you don't want to say you are racist, but it still affects you in a certain way. It's like drinking the water in Flint, Michigan, man. I mean, you were there for years and you were drinking it for years, and it will have its toll on you. So
4 years, yeah.
It does the same thing. It rots you from the inside. So, and this is where we're at now. We've allowed America to steep in that fetid water for so long that we are now here, seeing its effects. Now the cancer is coming up, and the lung cancer and whatever it is coming up and out, and as a result, we have to deal with it. It's time for surgery. And
it's a disease, yeah. It is. Racism is a disease. And just like, I was just having a great conversation with a friend that's going to be coming up on an upcoming podcast yesterday. And I was talking to him about, being born into Mormonism in Idaho and being raised in Utah, and then South Orange County, like not really understanding my white privilege or what white privilege was, let alone that versus racism, until I got to Orange County and made friends with some Mexicans for the first time in my entire life. And then I moved back to Utah and got my first black friends. And the first time I got pulled over while he was driving was a life-changing experience. And after
most
that,
people don't know.
I drove every time after that. I made sure I was always driving after that.
I'm glad you got to experience it. Most people don't understand. They have no clue. And I'm sure that a good number of the people on listening to your podcast are on the same page as you. So we're preaching to the choir. But if there's somebody who doesn't know, I mean, between the ages of, I don't know, from 20 on up for at least 15 years, on average, I got pulled over once every 3 months in my car or on the sidewalk. They would just pull over and they're like, I remember walking home from the basketball court. There's nothing. I lived a block away from the basketball court and across the street. I walked across the street, didn't jaywalk. I was walking down the sidewalk and a police car rolls up to me and then rolls up onto the sidewalk in front of me. And it's like, hey, come over here. I was like, oh, maybe they need some information. I'm like, what? Where's your ID?
Youth. That was the youth in you right there.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, my ID? I don't carry it. So I go play basketball. They're like, you need to carry your ID because we need to be able to ID people. I was like, as people? I didn't know. Flash forward, I get pulled over once on average, once every 3 months. And one time, my ex-girlfriend, she is in law enforcement. She's in justice. She was sitting in the passenger seat. It's 12:30 at midnight in Westwood, California, in Westwood, Los Angeles. And I make a left turn, again, totally legal, nothing special. But I saw a cop coming from the other direction. And I'm like, uh-oh. And she's like, uh-oh, what? And I'm like, I'm about to be pulled over. They hadn't even turned the lights on yet. You just get this spider sense about these things. 10 seconds later, whoop, 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 and she's like, what did you do? I was like, I did nothing, but wait for it.
Driving while black.
Now, yep, that. And the dude came up to my window, and he saunters up. He's got that walk, like the asshole walk. And he's like, he leans into my window.
You can see it in the mirror.
Now, she's in justice, by the way. She is in justice. She's all about law. She understands law. She's all the way in. And he walks up and he's like, so, you on parole? I'm like,
went straight there, huh? Wow.
First words out of his mouth. And I'm like, I just looked at her. She turns beet red with fury. I just put my hand on her forearm. I'm like, and I just patted it. I'm like, no, sir, what can I help you with? And we went through the dance, and she's like, get his badge number, get his name. But
I like her.
you gotta see it for yourself. You have to experience it to understand that it exists, and it is deep, and it is strong, and it needs to die.
And
Racism needs to die.
And like I always say, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. And just because it's not happening to you doesn't mean it's not happening often to other people.
It's just like cancer. It is just like cancer.
Exactly. So speaking of spidey senses, let's get into the nerd stuff here. You have one of the coolest, most epic deaths in Punisher.
Yo.
How much fun was that movie to do?
It was amazing, man. Punisher Warzone, directed by Lexi Murai. Lexi Alexander is a professional name, who is a karate champion in her own right. She is a badass. We used to spar, and she is faster than I am. She's a beast. She is a monster. And she directed a really fun movie, Punisher Warzone, for Marvel. And
so fun.
We got to shoot those scenes in Montreal, and it was Indian summer. It had run long, and it was warm, and it was beautiful. And as soon as we got on top of those exposed buildings, winter set in. That very same day, the cold winds dropped out of the north, and we were freezing. So we're free running on the top of the buildings and doing all that fun stuff. And it was so cold that during my death scene, the Punisher takes out my team with a rocket launcher, and I think he shoots my knees out, and then he picks me up and he makes a deal with me. He goes, "You tell me what I need to know, I won't kill you." And I'm like, "Okay." And I tell him, and then he throws me off the building. Apparently the fall kills me, so he kept his word, whatever. And I
no. Screw the fall. Not only does the fall kill you and you land on a fence, he comes down and breaks your neck and stomps your neck with his feet as he's jumping down. Like, it's just
horrible.
Overkill.
It was so cold to shoot that when I was on the fence, I had to balance on this fence. The entire fence was shaking because I was shivering. I was so cold that the fence wouldn't stop moving because I was shaking. I'm from Hawaii. I do not belong in a real winter. It was really, really cold, and it was really, really crazy, but it was a blast to shoot. It was amazing.
Well, before I forget, it says Mind's Eye Tribe as your name. What's that about?
Oh, the Mind's Eye Tribe Action Actors Academy is my school. It is a school for people who want to get into television, film, action movies. They want to be a better actor. They want to be a better action performer. We teach everything you need to know to do that, especially in the world of performance capture and motion capture and video game performance. So yeah, that's what we do. We offer classes for swords. We offer classes for tactical, how to use weapons properly for film and safely. There's a whole training for that. We have an incredible acting instructor, Annie Draymond, who's one of the top acting instructors in Los Angeles. And we have fitness workouts called Creature Fit with Andy Norris. So yeah, we have some of the top people teaching the skills that you need to become an action star. We teach introduction to motion capture. So if you want to learn how to get into video games and stuff like that, that's what that class is all about. We teach magic, performance. We teach hero and superhero movement. It's a lot of stuff, and it is so fun. So if you're
and so where can they find that on social media and the website, and which will be under you?
It's mindseyetribe.com on the internet, or you can just look it up on Facebook. But Mind, like your brain, Mind's Eye Tribe. Action Actors Academy.
Yeah, and that's a really cool idea, because like I don't think enough people realize the major difference in all those different forms of acting, and you've done them all.
Yes. Yeah.
So do you have a favorite? Because I know you do a lot of motion capture and you do a lot of video games, and you are a gamer yourself. So like, is that kind of your go-to, your favorite thing to do, or that just pays the bills the most?
Well, the performance capture is easy because I can look like all the characters. So they know that I can do the things and I have the skills. So they're just like, all right now you're a 7 foot tall man made of steel. You're from Russia and you get sick at the sight of violence. I'm like, there's no problem. And then all of a sudden they switch over to the next project.
He was Colossus, everyone. He's referencing Colossus. He was Colossus in X-Men.
Yes, Colossus in Deadpool actually, and then flip over to Godzilla. You're a 400-foot tall radioactive super lizard, and you are king of the monsters. Go. Now you're a 5'8" superhero with red hair, and her name is Scarlet Witch. Okay, now you are, and we just flip. Bing, 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 bing. I don't play females too often. They usually hire female for that, but sometimes at a pinch, I can do that. So yeah, it's fun. Wait, do you play video games?
I'm the world's worst gamer. I'm the gamer's best friend on the couch that goes and grabs the beer, gets the nachos ready. I'm like, bro,
That's awesome.
turn around, you're getting shot in the back. That health was 2 halls down and a left. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm the one packing the bowl. I'm the one.
Yeah.
I'm the worst gamer ever. I'm horrible.
Oh.
I'm a gamer's best friend though.
Right on.
Yeah, I spent many a full weekends in my 20s with my friends who, I think the last thing I was playing was the James Bond 007 where all 4 of us could run around shooting each other. Like,
that's awesome. I worked on that. That was fun. Right on, man. That's cool. That's
yeah,
really cool.
see, there you go. But yeah, no, I mad respect for gamers that have become it's a profession now. Like, it's
I
crazy.
know. How
like,
cool is that?
never in my mind, like, growing up as a kid with, enjoying comic books, but I wasn't a comic book collector. I've always been into TV and movies and music and that form of entertainment. But and then getting into games and watching my friends get into that, like, even in my 20s, I never imagined the world we're living in now.
Yes, absolutely.
So, like, with that being said, what's your favorite thing about the world we're living in now as an adult nerd? Because you're a nerd.
We get to
Very fit, rugged nerd,
life, man.
handsome nerd.
No, man, dude. First off, I was not handsome. I was clumsy and tall and skinny, and I was the dorkiest dork on the planet. And I remember being so terrified to ask a girl to the prom. I was like, I remember I stuttered. I was like, so yeah, I was not cool. But I got to grow up and I got to train a lot and I got to work on myself a lot. And I finally got to do the things I want. I never stopped being a nerd though. And by the way, being a nerd when I was a kid was not cool. Now everybody's like, I'm a nerd. And they wear shirts that say, I'm a nerd. No, you didn't want to be the nerd. Nobody wanted to be a nerd. The nerd got his underwear hiked up. So yeah, that not fun. But
I didn't know I was a nerd growing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I came from a jock family, so I didn't know I was a nerd. I didn't.
Yeah, you don't even know.
You
but somebody let you know. But I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons and video games and
just. I wish I'd have grown up playing D&D. I've still never played D&D.
It will happen.
Okay.
Maybe we'll pull you in one of these days if you want.
With Satine, Phoenix, or one of your guys' thing. Like, if you guys ever have like a teaching episode for rookies like
Hell
me.
Yeah, man, you'll have a blast, dude.
Yeah, I would love to do that because that was a Satan's game and I was not allowed to play it.
I remember that. That was a whole thing. I went to a church that burnt some of my books and I was like, not cool. But yeah, but now we're living in a time where everybody plays D&D. My games are full, actually. We actually have like a waiting list because people want to play. Everybody wants to play. And I'm like, okay, just give me a time because there's a maximum number of people that can play easily. So we tell them, just hold on and we'll get to you and we'll bring you in and let you play. But we get to play D&D regularly. We get to watch comic books we grew up on screen done well.
Yeah.
Really well.
And with the way CGI and everything, special effects are now, it's just like watching Jaws 3D. I never thought anything could be better than that.
Nothing could be better than that.
Yeah.
It's so much good stuff. It's so fun, man. There's so much beautiful stuff out there, and there's more on the way. Now there's VR. I got to play Darth Vader in a video game called Vader Immortal, and then I got to play him again.
So cool.
It is awesome. You put the thing on, and you're sitting there. You come face to face with Vader, and you're like, oh, he's tall.
Wait. Just to clarify for both the audio and video podcast, that for anyone watching and listening to this, you got to play as in you were playing against Vader, or you were Vader in the game?
I am the current Darth Vader. I am Darth Vader in Vader Immortal. I am Darth Vader in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So yeah, It is
You're so
freaking
badass.
bananas. It's so fun, dude. It's so
I know
fun.
this guy. I know this guy.
And tell me, because for those people who are listening, Casey and I get to kind of just wander around the Comic-Con about this time every year. Normally, when the world is in operation, we just kind of wander around looking at all the cool costumes, and we go to the fun.
When you're available.
Well, dude, I'm either eating junk food or I'm trying to get into Hall H, or I'm just looking at fun comic book stuff.
Well, plus, you know how hard it is. Anyone nerds listening to this, you know how hard it is to find a friend, even when you're on the phone with them or texting them, surrounded by 300,000 people at San Diego Comic Con. I mean,
it is impossible.
Yeah, your intentions can be there, but just sometimes you're just not going to find who you're looking for, and you can spend all day looking for them, and then but you randomly run into 30 other friends in a 5-minute span.
Yes, yeah, it's bananas.
But you're mentioning like my nerdism and someone. So I didn't know I was a nerd until I went to my first San Diego Comic Con when I met you that weekend.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah, that was when I was just like, oh, I'm a nerd. This is awesome.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you were already deep in it.
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
Yeah, when we were at the cons, man, especially at night when the thins out a little bit.
After parties, baby.
We go to the after parties, and then we'd end up at what was it, Denny's, and just pigging out and laughing.
Yeah, late night.
Oh
my goodness,
freaking awesome! And then
you're not a drinker. Mind, body, spirit, health. You're not a drinker, so I drank enough for both of us.
Yep, and it was awesome. It was freaking. And
that's one of the things I love about I love about you, man. You know, no judgment. As drunk as I got,
it was awesome though, man.
Weekends, but
you're pretty chill. You can handle your alcohol. I was impressed.
20 years as a bartender, you're a professional alcohol while you work. It's you learn to handle your buzz in public. It's just kind of unfortunately comes with the territory. So, but I rarely drink anymore now because of everything going on with my own health issues. So
sure.
Yeah. So Godzilla. Now, how big of a surprise was that to get? Like you were holding. How long did you have to hold that in before you could tell everyone when the first movie was coming out?
Well, first off,
and how much of the script do you get being Godzilla? Like, how much do you know what's going to happen?
Here's how it went. Somebody called me and they're like, dude, we need help with some beast movement. And I thought to myself, oh, sure. You know what? Here's the name of some people. I was working on some things already and I didn't know what they were talking about. So I'm like, yeah, here's the names of some people. Check them out. They're really solid people. You can depend on their movement. Check them out. And then I went back to what I was working on. Then they called me back and they're like, yeah, could you come in and help us with the movement? And I'm like, oh yeah. I thought they called some of the people that I gave them on the list or found somebody and they wanted me to coach them in movement because that's what we do at Mind's Eye Tribe. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Just tell me when you want me to come. Like, how about 8 o'clock on Tuesday? I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I showed up at the place and it was the stunt coordinator. He's like, dude, thanks for helping me out. Thanks for showing up. I'm like, yeah, man, what do you need? It's like, and there's 3 of us standing there. And he looks at all 3 of us. He goes, you're Muto number 1, you're Muto number 2. And he points at me and he says, and you're Godzilla. And I was like, what? And
my jaw's dropping open right now on the audio podcast.
And that's how it started. That was the very first day. We just started shooting right then and there. We went inside the warehouse and started shooting stuff immediately. The first scene we shot was they cut this cardboard into the shape of goggles, so it looked like the guys jumping out of the helicopters were looking through their eyes when they put the goggle over the camera, and they kind of framed it so that they drop through the smoke, and then when the smoke and the clouds finally clear, they see a piece of Godzilla as they're parachuting down to the ground. And
I love that scene.
So we shot that was the very first thing we shot. And we had to find Godzilla's movement, and we had to talk about how he moves and how his shoulders were connected to his body. Don't want him to move like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. They want a full arm. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the studio was constantly giving notes too, because they would chime in. So yeah, everybody they just started doing it. And we created
So how long
And
into filming before they put the, because I love the photos, go to his Instagram, follow TJ Storm on his Instagram, and go way back to find the early photos. But like the
yes,
first time you posted that photo with you, of the tail on you and
yeah, yeah,
everything,
yeah.
it's just like, how long into shooting before like I assume they made that tail for you, or did they already have it?
You know what? We were filming. They were like, "How are we gonna get this? How is he gonna attack this creature?" And there's only so many ways Godzilla can attack. And I was just standing there. I'm like, "What happens if he comes at me and then I spin and whack him with my tail?" And they're like, "That could be cool, but trying to figure out tail physics is a little weird unless you can see it." So I was like, "We don't have a tail." So we just grabbed a big piece of foam and we cut it into a very long triangle. Then I ran out to my car and I pulled my black belt out of my car and I wrapped it. We put it through a hole in the foam and wrapped it around my waist. And voila, I had a tail. If you look at that picture, if you go way back on the Instagram, you look at that picture, you can see my tail's held on by my black belt, my real life black
I
belt.
never noticed that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And that's how we first did it. And the special effects generally come at the end of all of the shooting. That way the actors have already acted pretending to look at something in the sky and all of that. So yeah, we did all of that.
Well, then, so how do you know what's going to happen in the next movie versus King Kong? I mean, no spoilers and all, but like, I mean, how much of the script ahead of time do you get as Godzilla?
We could not tell you about any of these things, but they don't tell us anything until we're there on the set.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's usually how it is for performance capture. That's usually how it is. For those of you at home who don't know what performance capture or motion capture is, it is, we put on this really tight suit. It has to be tight. You can't move around. And it has little markers at the elbows, at the wrists, at the fingers, at all of the joints. And then we step into a very large room surrounded by motion capture cameras, which throw out a ton of infrared light. They bounce off the markers and then go back to the camera. The camera records all of those points of light and then builds a little wireframe stick figure of me in the computer. And then they can put whatever skin they want on top of that stick figure. And I am now driving that character in the computer. Then after we shoot everything, they make that model look really, really nice. They turned it in from a low res model into a high res model. And it looks like Godzilla, or it looks like Colossus or Darth Vader, whatever. And yeah, that's what motion capture is, and what performance capture is what the performer does in that space.
Funny part is like I thought I knew how it worked until you just said all that.
Yeah, that's the basics of it. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Most people think
you
that
just blew my entertaining nerd mind right there. Yeah, we're pulling back the curtain, people.
Most people think it has something to do with a green screen. There's usually no green screen. That's a totally different technology. But yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
So, all right. So, besides motion capture, in normal acting, regular film, TV, movies, what's something you're really proud of that you think people should go check out on your IMDb and go find it to stream, because everybody's at home with the pandemic and they got the time on their hands?
Oh, go check out, put the title Black Cobra in. It's fun. It's a fun movie. It's a small movie, but it's fun. I of course I got to work on awesome stuff like Punisher Warzone and Kickboxer Vengeance and Revenger, which we shot in Korea. But Black Cobra is really fun. It has Kerry Tagawa in it, and yeah, it's a fun movie with some fun martial arts. And Damon Portier is in it, who plays the original Thanos in the original Avengers at the end of the movie. So definitely check them out. If you haven't seen Damien, he's a wonderful actor who's shown up on Flash as a character named Goldface, and as Thanos, and he's in a whole bunch of really, really cool video games as well. It's a video game with the clowns in it. What the hell is that called?
Oh, Payday.
Payday, yes. He's one of the main characters in Payday. Really cool cat, and super nerd extraordinaire. He is freaking awesome.
And another, like I met you two at the same time at the same Comic Con and hanging out like crazy. That was good times.
Every time.
So major story time. Major shout out to Damien. Love you, brother. Can't wait to have you back on the show.
Yes.
Story though, he actually hasn't been on the show technically. He has, but he hasn't. Because what happened is we did the interview right after he was back on Flash as Goldface, his second time being on it.
Okay.
And I told you I've been having some major health issues over the last
Sure,
3 years,
sure.
and the last 6 months have been really rough on me mentally. I forgot to record it, so we did like a 20-minute interview where he pulled
No,
over in his
no,
car in between, yeah,
no.
in LA, in between doing, this and that, and
Trying to
trying to get
capture
parts.
Damien sitting still is nearly impossible.
And he did it for me for like 20 minutes, and then we get to the very end, and I'm going to sign off, and I realize, oh, I'm not even recording this.
Oh no.
So Damien, we still got to talk about getting you back up, getting you on, and figuring out that time. So, but
Yes.
yeah, I felt like an idiot.
He's awesome, man.
But he just laughed. And that's Damien, man, because he's just a happy man. Both of you are. I love that. So speaking of which, what are you doing to remain happy and keep your mental health going in all this pandemic and with the COVID and whatnot? Because, you've been working like nonstop for years, and all of a sudden entertainment has kind of, dried up. So what are you doing for your mental health?
I continue to create. I continue to run the school and make plans and upgrades and all of that stuff. I continue to do things I enjoy. I mean, we don't always have to be working. I play the hell out of some video games, and then I watch a whole bunch of TV shows, and I love it. And this is the golden age of television right now. It is.
What are you nerding out on? What are you just?
I'm not gonna lie. I just finished The Flash. That I did not know it had 6 seasons. Oh my God, that was a lot of Flash. And they have crossovers. Do you know that they have crossovers into like Green Arrow and Legends? And
yes, I live for the crossover episodes.
It's kind of cool, man. It's kind of cool. And then I love.
If it wasn't for the crossovers, we wouldn't have a new Superman Lois show coming out.
Is that what that's starting? Oh,
yeah.
Is that where it's coming from?
I approve. I think he makes a great Superman. I approve.
He seems like a really cool cat. I like him. And then I watched The Boys on Amazon Prime, which is one of the best superhero shows.
The next season comes out in a few weeks.
Yes, I have never. I love that. Is one of the best superhero shows I've ever seen.
It is so good.
I love it.
Yeah.
It is alive. It is super cool. And I just got into Doom Patrol, so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how I feel about it yet.
I haven't watched it. I need to put it on my list.
It is freaking cool, but it's very stylized, so it's not for everybody. But it is really cool. I saw Legion. I watched a lot of television now that I think about it. And I'm just starting to get into Lovecraft Country.
Oh, so, okay. Yeah, I need to.
Dude, you need to watch that one. I think you especially will enjoy that if you're into Cthulhu stuff.
And look, I'm not a huge Lovecraft fan, and I haven't read the books and whatnot. I know what most of them are about. I got a lot of friends who are Lovecraft, so I'm excited about that. But did you watch The Watchmen?
Yes. Lovecraft and The Watchmen are in a similar vein, vaguely in a similar vein. But The Watchmen is brilliant. How did that make you? Another season, right?
What?
It is getting another season, right?
Yeah. I think they renewed it for 2 more seasons, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. I hope they bring the same creative team back.
Yeah, it was so good. Well, how so did that? What kind of feelings did that stoke? Once again, BLM as a black man watching that show take it back to Tulsa history and all of that.
I did not know Tulsa's history until I saw that. It made me go to the internet and look it up, and I was like, "They did what? What happened?" So I think TV, it can be a really good thing. It makes you wake up and have a look around and learn more. I didn't know that. They don't teach me that in my particular history class. They didn't mention it. So I was like, wow, how did I miss this? This is kind of a big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah, the Tulsa Massacre. It was a big deal. It has another name. I can't remember what it's called.
I forget too. Where they burned down Black Wall Street is just horrible.
Yes. And I was like, whoa. So we need to, it's important to see these things and to learn this. And that's why Lovecraft Country, it also takes a hard look at what that time period was like. It's around the same time period. I want to say the 50s. It's probably the early 50s. And it's good. It's really, really good.
Oh, I can't wait to get into it. But and here's something I loved about what Watchmen did is like people complain about anything that relates to time when it comes to entertainment and just like, they're doing the time thing, so they could do an alternate timeline and universe. And it's complicated to write that, and I understand how most people don't understand that and get that. But like, I think The Watchmen, especially the last like 3 episodes, the way they weaved in and out of the different times and edited it all together wasn't like anything I've ever seen in entertainment.
Yes. But I mean, time travel, whenever you're dealing with time travel storytelling, you need the watcher to be okay with thinking a little bit more. You have to expend more brain energy because you have to be like, wait, what's happening? And you have to thread it together in your own mind.
Right.
So if you want an easy watch, don't watch it because it's not the easiest thing to watch. It's got a little crunch to it. But it
was easier than The Witcher.
Yeah.
Like The Witcher, I wasn't until like episode 6 I realized, oh, there's 3 different timelines going on here.
Bruh, that just wasn't done well. There are several timelines, but I was like, what in the hell is going on? And
like, I've been meaning to go back and rewatch it again now that
now there's good rewatches like Inception where you're watching and you're like, okay, I'm starting to unravel.
Trying to pick up little things so that top at the end, you're like, okay, so does that mean he's out or does that mean he's stuck?
Yes. And then there's just, these are different timelines.
Yeah.
Because somebody's hair is a little different. Okay, I was like, it's fine.
Which is why I like the visual. Which is why I like when they do like a blue filter or something grainy, when they change the filter on the production and editing. So that way, oh, you're in a different timeline. This is a completely different, kind of like when they're doing dream things. They're obviously dreaming because, they're throwing weird filters.
Yeah. And it's all up to your taste if you're down. I love fantasy, so Witcher works, and I'm down with that. I'm down to take that ride, and it's fun. And The Watchmen is spectacular because I appreciate what they're doing with their voice there.
Right, exactly. And look, and I love a good thinking piece, and I love to use my brain, but my rule number 1 with entertainment is entertain me. So like, I watch stuff that's just other people hate, and it's, look, if it made me laugh a few times, I don't care how cheesy it was. Like, I found it entertaining.
Absolutely. I just watched American Gods season 2, and oh man,
Orlando Jones, please come on my show so we could talk about them firing you for being too black.
Orlando Jones knocked that out of the park. He made that worth watching. I rarely rewind to watch a scene unless I missed something. I caught every word and I was like, oh wait, I'm gonna rewind that because it almost brought tears in my eyes. It brought goosebumps. And I mean, his voice and his dialect even change in the middle of the monologue, and it knocks it completely out of the park. He destroyed. I heard he's not coming back. I don't even know why I would watch the next season if he doesn't.
I'm not. I'm boycotting it, and I have reached out to him on Instagram. Well, because some producer, I'm not going to mention names, we'll let Orlando Jones come on the podcast and talk about that. If you know him, hit him up for me. But basically, some white producer didn't feel he represented black people and the black culture and the black experience according to this white person's knowledge.
What?
Yeah, so he was let go, and I don't know if
I heard he went in and wrote some of that.
Yeah, so the original director had to actually fight. This is what I've heard. Had to actually fight to get him writing credits because he was changing his monologues. He was changing his monologues.
Those were important changes. Those needed to be done, as far as I can tell, because what he did on
every
screen
rewind
knocked it out of the park. Absolutely. I will watch it again if he is on it. Period. Yeah, because that was amazing.
Yeah, same.
That was amazing.
Same, absolutely. So, all right. So, how important is it to be a creator and be a writer as a black man to put out the content that you wish you could have seen as a child?
It's that is starting to become apparent. I mean, here's the thing: when I was a kid, and even a young adult, I didn't know what I was missing. I didn't know. You know what? The very first time I saw somebody different on television, I remember seeing Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee changed the way I thought about people. I was like, why does this guy look different? Because I had never seen a Chinese person before he popped on my television. And then not only was he looking different, he moved different. Like, what is that about? Why? Because he came from a completely alien culture to what I understood. And he brought a new way of thinking to me personally, because I can't speak for anybody else. And I was like, he's cool, man. I want to be like him. I remember thinking that. And so when karate finally came as an option to me, which is different than what he did, but it was close enough, I was like, yeah, I want to be like Bruce Lee. Yeah, I will try this new thing because I've seen somebody do that and I think that's cool. That's new and different, and it shows their entire people's culture in a light that I may never have seen. Flash forward another 20 years, and now I get to see more people that look like me on screen more often, and it feels different. I look at them and I'm like, for the first time, I connect. You grow up watching Beverly Hills 90210, and you're just like, there's those people doing those things. Oh, I wonder what it's like to be rich like that. That's kind of neat.
I didn't connect to them either, but I watched it. Same with Friends.
Yeah, because it was there and it's on TV, and okay, fine, whatever. And then you see somebody that tells your story and you're like, whoa, that's kind of cool. Yeah, man, go, go, go. You start cheering for them. I mean, Will Smith started coming out with all kinds of movies, and Denzel Washington started showing up, and you start paying attention because they look like you. They represent you and your experience just a little bit more than what you're seeing. And you don't connect with that until you see it. And I can tell you that it feels vastly different because until that point, I hadn't seen it. I'd seen the lady serving everybody drinks in the old movies, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. She's a maid. Okay. But I have never been a maid, and that wasn't my thing. But when I saw somebody walk up and be like, all right, we're going to do this and go over here and we're going to do these incredible things, I was like, yeah, yeah. Now I'm cheering for that guy. It kind of looks like me. And that was exciting. That needed to happen. So that was important. Those things needed to happen. I think one of the first times it really happened for me was both Carl Weathers and Mr. T. Both of them, as I saw them, even
Carl
though
Weathers
they were
is
antagonists, they were super cool. They were like powerful, and they had a reason for being there, and they weren't the pimp or the drug pusher. They were just people trying to survive and do better than what the hero was doing. And I cheered for them on both sides. I was like, this is cool. This guy's badass. So yeah. And then I grew up watching the A-Team, and that helped a little bit.
Murdoch.
And now, yeah. And
I grew up watching the A-Team.
Yes.
Everyone thought I was crazy.
Yeah,
My mom was like, go with it.
A-Team was pure awesome. And now we watch something like Black Panther. And you're just like, you can feel it
Wakanda
in
forever.
your heart. Yes, Wakanda forever! And you feel it in your heart, and you're just cheering. And now, occasionally people walk up to me or write me on Facebook, and they're like, hello, I am from Angola, and I just want to say that I have watched your movie Black Cobra, and I cheer for you. You are a hero to us here. And I'm like, man, if I can help that next step of our history, then I am honored. And I thank the people before me, and I think the people that are doing it now, and I think the generation that is coming up and training to take that torch into the future.
Speaking of history, you're wearing an Obama shirt. How good did that feel?
Dude, that was
super Obama shirt.
awesome.
I love that shirt.
That was awesome. Now that was back when.
And how important I assume you vote. You've been voting for a long time.
Not a long time.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to ask who you're voting for, or any of that kind of stuff. But I mean, like, how important is it to get out there and vote, whether you think it's being counted or not?
Well,
I know that's a tough one.
You know, because I mean, if you're voting just because you're doing the popularity contest, I guess that's worth something. But you should listen to what they're saying if you care. Mm-hmm. I honestly didn't care when I was a young man. Mm-hmm. I was busy trying to build my life and make $1, so I didn't give a damn. So that's the honest truth. I wasn't so cool and so woke that I was like, if I vote for this guy over that guy, I didn't know. But then I'm not gonna lie. I may have voted before Obama, but Obama was for the first time I was listening to him. And again, maybe it was because I felt like he represented me.
Right.
And I was like, all right, dude, what are you saying? Why? Now, it made me listen, but it didn't make me decide. And at this time, I really didn't care the differences between Democrats and Republicans. They weren't, I mean, they were different, but they weren't on opposite sides of the universe like they are right now, I don't think. So,
right. So I was raised Republican. Like it's not the same party I grew up with, I don't think.
I listened to him, I'm like, all right, that makes sense. Then I listened to the other guy and I'm like, I don't like that as much. All right, I kind of like this guy. And then I listened to him more and he didn't speak to your brain as much as he spoke to your soul at the same time.
Right.
And I thought that was important. I was like, yeah, this is hope. I want the country to go here, and I feel that's right. And I fully believe that the people on the other side of what I believe, they feel the same thing. For some reason, they feel fear and they feel the need for law and order. But that's part of the whole illusion of systemic racism.
Yeah.
That is part of the illusion, that the war on drugs. Man, there wasn't any war on drugs. There was some people using drugs and they were happy in their apartment. And then you all made a big deal about it, and now we're here. So
yeah, and look, and that's why voting has always been extremely important to me since I was turned 18, because I've been a long-time advocate for cannabis. And if it wasn't for CBD, like most days, I wouldn't be able to even get out of bed. And because the doctors in this stupid healthcare system just want to feed me full of pills and drugs, every single one of which, if there's a side effect, I'm gonna have them, and not the mild ones either. Like, you know, I had a heart attack a couple years ago because of the medication I was on. So if there's a major side effect, I'm gonna get it. No side effect with CBD. So
I think
I pay attention to who I'm voting for sheriff, mayor, council, all the propositions. I do all my research, always have. I watch the RNC and the DNC. Awesome. Ever since I was a kid, this is the worst RNC I've ever watched in my entire life.
That was craziness.
This is just fear-mongering propaganda by the Republicans bowing down to Trump in a way I've never seen with any
I have never seen,
previous.
it's kind of like watching a sci-fi movie where the bad guy has his people talking and you're like, really?
Yeah. We are living in a dystopia. Yeah.
It is weird. But I didn't know that they vilified marijuana on purpose and for a business reason for years.
That's why Biden was the last choice on my Democratic list, and I was sharing monthly the C-SPAN video of him talking about, hey, look, if they're doing drugs, that's their problem. They need to learn and be better humans. Blah 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 blah. Actually, it was much rougher what he was saying.
Yes,
but,
of course.
like all last year, I was sharing that video once a month. Like I've been on the anti-Biden bandwagon since the beginning because of his stance on cannabis, marijuana, and how many black people are still in prison because of the laws he helped create. But now I want Trump out so bad, I'm going to be voting for him.
Absolutely. And look,
whether I like it or not.
A lot of us, we are all affected by systemic racism. We're all affected by it. But some of us choose to
school to prison pipeline. I just found out about the school to prison pipeline.
Yeah. We didn't know. And if you're curious about what we're talking about, please watch the YouTube video called 13th. It's literally 13th. 13th. I'm talking about the 13th Amendment. It will explain what's this systemic.
There's a great documentary on Netflix about it too.
Yep, Netflix has got the same thing. It's the same.
Oh, is it the same one we're talking about? Okay,
yeah. It's the same one.
It was great. It was great.
Just in case you don't have Netflix, go ahead and watch it. But yes, it will, in the space of one documentary, explain how systemic racism got to where it is today, and why there are so many black men in prison, and why we still deal with them in a particular way. And
why private prisons are one of the biggest money-making scams in this country. It's disgusting what they're actually allowed to do in private prisons versus public prisons too. It's just, it is against all constitutional rights, period. I mean, in fact, 13th Amendment, that's what we're talking about. But racism isn't just in this country, it's worldwide. And that was another something I wanted to ask you about with martial arts, because like, you talking about Bruce Lee and saw him and was just like, ooh, I want to do that. But like, he got death threats for teaching Americans kung fu. Did you get any backlash as a black man learning karate and in your travels while you're competing?
There's racism, which is a thing. For racism to exist, there usually has to be one group in a lot of power and one group that has no power. That is generally what racism is. If you just don't like black people, you're prejudiced. But racism is a culture thing, and that's an American thing. Great, okay, fine. Now in China, they may not love people who don't look like them, but that's a cultural thing, and that's separate. That's a little bit different because there's not a lot of black people in China. So it's not like
Godzilla's black now, baby.
Yeah, we're not going to suppress this group of people because that group of people doesn't exist there. They just look at them and they're like, yeah, we don't know you, so whatever. So that's different. And cultural around the world, I can't speak to all of that. Some people see me coming and they're like, whoa. Like in Egypt, I was walking around, they're like, wow, you look like The Rock, Obama. They love seeing me and their thumbs up, and they can only say a couple of English words, Obama and WWE and The Rock and John Cena. Those are the words they had. Like, John Cena, Rock, Obama. And I'm like, America. They're like, America. They were super cool. They loved it. And then in China, when I was it Beijing? I asked for directions. 3 people in the row, their one English word was no. And they straight up said, I am not going to help you. I'm like, okay, I see. All right. No, you're good. So it's fine. It's totally cool. It's just their culture. It's not that they don't like black people. It's just like, dude, you're tall and you're standing over me and get away from me. And I'm cool with that. That's totally cool. But here we need to fix this shit. We know where it came from, 400 years of practice, and you need to shut that stuff down. So that's where we're at. We can fix that here. Has it affected me? I am sure that it has, but I don't let it sit on my back. I don't walk around with an angry grimace on my face. But at the same time, I will combat it at every single turn. I will meet it head on, and I will discuss it as you need to discuss it. And we fight every day on Facebook, and I have friends that are just like, yeah, let Jacob Blake, he was a criminal. I'm like, where are you getting your information? Well, not the mainstream media, that's for sure. And they give me all their little tin hat conspiracy theory things. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to need to give me sources on that so that we can talk about this. Blah, 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 Fox TV, blah, blah, blah. And like, okay, whatever. So we deal with it as best we can. Changing minds, hopefully one idea at a time, or at least affecting the newer generation so that they have a better handle on the information and they can make a more appropriate choice.
Yeah, because they're growing up in a world we didn't grow up in, with ready, available internet on their phone constantly, with misinformation. Like, I can't even imagine growing up in this world right now. I feel sorry for the kids. So, all right, back to Godzilla, because I can't wait for the next movie. What was it like being accepted into the Godzilla family and going to different cons and whatnot? Because, like, you've got to hang out with the legends in the original suits.
Dude, I got to meet the first Godzilla's daughter. Her name is Sonoe Nakajima. And wow, holy smokes, man. And that was in Tokyo on Godzilla's birthday. Her father, Haruo Nakajima, was the first Godzilla suit actor, and he was the first Godzilla. And he was Godzilla for a long time. And then there's been a whole bunch since then. I'm guessing, I want to say 7, 8, something like that.
I'm not that pro nerdy.
I am the first non-Japanese Godzilla. I'm the first American Godzilla. And technically, if it matters, I'm the first Black Godzilla. And when I got to Japan, they said they hadn't planned this. but for Godzilla's birthday, they had 19,000 people in the middle of Tokyo partying and cheering for Godzilla and all of this because he's a national treasure there.
You should be.
And they said, you know what? Why don't you go up on stage and say hello? And I'm like, are you serious? And they're like, yeah, go. We'll translate. And I was like, okay. And they accepted me. They're like, Godzilla! Legendary Godzilla! And wow, man. I mean, what can you say? What can you say? I am honored. I am beyond honored to take up the mantle of the King of the Monsters and tell that story a little bit. I'm greatly honored. It's huge. It's awesome to get to walk in those giant footsteps. Thank you, Haruo Nakajima.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And look, we're just waiting for that plasma too, for that plasma breath to come out and destroy.
Yes.
Yeah, like the entire theater that I was in erupted in that moment. It was one of those epic. Man, I miss going to the theater for movies.
Yes, right?
Oh man, that's like when all this COVID started back in February, like I was like, oh man, this is gonna be bad. People pay attention. Like the second I heard that it was a 2-week period before you showed symptoms, I was like, we're screwed. Because my sister is a nurse, and this is the kind of epidemic we've been talking about for years that she was afraid was gonna happen. And I was just like, oh man, this is gonna get bad. And as things are going bad, I was like, man, I hope this doesn't destroy the movie theaters. And I hope this doesn't destroy restaurant businesses. Most of those restaurants, because 20 years in the restaurant industry, I know how difficult it is to make money in a restaurant as an owner.
Absolutely.
And so many restaurants that I've worked at are probably closed and they're never coming back. And my heart goes out to all the people I've worked with in different restaurants and out there. And our stupid government. See, now I can't collect disability because I'm not young enough and I'm not old enough. And or unemployment because I did restaurant work so long, the government doesn't consider that real work. Like this is literally what a lawyer told me who won't even take my case. The government doesn't consider that real work. And since it's not real work, a disabled person can still go do it. I don't have the kind of disability where I got 8 pinched nerves in my neck. So if I turn too fast or the wrong way, like I can barely move and have a migraine for 2-3 days a week. It gets really bad. And then, and I got another 6 pinched nerves in my lower back. So,
man.
So when I talk about free healthcare for all, it's because not only do I understand how many other people need it, I need it. I'm like all the college sports athletes that got an injury and lost their scholarship and it changed and ruined their entire lives. Like imagine how much it wouldn't have ruined their lives if there was free health care for all. Absolutely. And those medical bills didn't pile up and all the people coming out of retirement now because Social Security is not enough money and they can't afford their medication and they can't afford their bills. Anyway, I could rant for days about this. But yeah, the last 3 years of watching my health decline has definitely put things in a new perspective for me with unabled people. People don't like to be called disabled. And I was watching this great interview with this psychologist was just like, no, at some point in everybody's life, they will become disabled. A lot of times it's only temporary, but
absolutely
with many, it's permanent, and we don't. And so now I look at old people in a completely different way too, because my mom is up there in her 80s, and she's got her own old age issues with arthritis and different things. But my arthritis is pretty advanced for being 45, plus a neuropathy. Now I can't even go out in the sun. I can't. That's a new development over the last few months. Like you can see my side of my face is red right now. This is just a flare up from right now doing this. So, but yeah, neuropathy is no joke. I just unfriended someone on Facebook who jumped in my comments and was trying to lecture me about neuropathy when he, one, not a doctor, two, doesn't even have neuropathy. So it's just like, I read online. Oh, shut the fuck up, first of all. Because I have a few friends, who have brain cancer and neuropathy issues and other type of neuropathy issues. And man, yeah, we love messaging each other, and because it's good to have that someone who understands Yeah, and before that, I didn't understand. I've always been empathetic, but until you've been there, you don't understand. And I look healthy, you wouldn't know. But when I'm having a bad day, the brain's gone too. They talk about the COVID fog. I've been dealing with that because of my issues for 3 years. So, and I can't sing anymore because of my jaw.
Why?
My jaw arthritis is so bad. There's days I can't even eat. My jaw arthritis gets so bad.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So the neck pain and jaw pain is so bad. When this first started, I was getting lockjaw, and I was just trying to sing through the pain because, it's my personal medication and mental health, and it's my biggest passion. That's how we met before I got into filming. I was, still doing the band thing. And now I can't make it through a verse to even the chorus because I lose control of my vocal cords.
Whoa.
Sometimes when I'm talking, it sounds like I'm drunk, and I'm not. I'm sober. It's just I can't control my vocal cords. So,
man.
So besides that and the lockjaw and the migraines and everything and the extreme pain it causes me, I literally can't sing because I can't control my vocal cords long enough to even get through one of my old songs.
Oh man.
So yeah. So you take the punches and whatnot, and so how have you bounced back from injuries? Because I know you've got injured on the set and while working out and whatnot. Well, what have you done to bounce back with that? And then I got a couple wrap-up questions for you because I know you got a meeting to get to.
I've been injured all kinds of different ways. It is you get the injury and you tell yourself, okay, I'm injured, and you sit down for 2 or 3 days, and then you realize, I'm not Wolverine, apparently. This is going to take freaking weeks. And so you're sitting there, and around week 2, you're like, my career is over. It's all over. And you're just sitting there waiting, whatever, a pulled hamstring, a snapped calf muscle, 2 snapped calf muscles, a torn MCL, I pulled my back muscle, whatever, I snapped my bicep, whatever it was.
I've heard that's painful.
And over and over again. I got injured, heavily injured, to the point that I can't move, and that's kind of what I do, especially in the action stuff and the performance capture stuff. But I had to sit down and I had to heal. That was the lesson, was to sit down and stop moving, be patient, and allow your body the rest it needs. Seek out the healing, whatever that means. And I had to learn that lesson. I was forced to learn that lesson. So that's what you got to do. It's
been a hard lesson for me. Yeah.
It's hard, man. You don't want to learn it either. You're just like, but I want to do things, and just got to sit back down.
I've been active, go, and I've been working since I was 16. So not working the last few years.
Not working will drive you a little batty, but
that's why I restarted the podcast. Because I was bored and going crazy at home.
I'm glad you did, man.
I'm like, I'm bringing back the podcast from 10 years ago. Screw it. Because I bet you didn't know this. So Down the Road Show was the first video podcast on YouTube 10 years ago.
It was?
There was no other one available. There was no Joe Rogan. There was none of that bullshit. It was just me and my voice.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Hell yes.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's a little nerd culture for y'all out there, right? Go way back. So that's why I wanted to bring it back. All right, so let's wrap this baby up with my favorite 3 questions.
Either.
Who's your favorite hero? Who's your favorite superhero?
Superhero?
Or hero, because Batman's not super.
No, he is in his own right. To be hanging, to stand shoulder to shoulder with Superman, you got to have something, right? But
yeah,
I grew up reading Silver Surfer. I like Silver Surfer.
Shout out to Doug Jones, waiting for you to come on the show.
Yeah, man, Doug Jones is amazing. But Silver Surfer was one of my favorites. He was ultra powerful, but he never tapped into his power until you pushed him to the very edge. He constantly did not counterattack. He was always like, nope, let's talk about this. He was always super chill. And I grew up in Hawaii, so maybe that's got something to do with it. But he pushed the retaliation to the very last option most of the time. And then when he finally, those 3 last pages of the comic book, when you pushed him too far and you were beaten down, and they would always have a pile of enemy on top of him, finally he was like, enough. And that's when he came back. And I just always loved that. I just thought that was so cool. My friends were like, dude, Wolverine. I'm like, man, if you
Wolverine's in my top 3, yeah.
if you sneeze, he will get mad and chop your head off. That didn't appeal to me. I was like, I like him, but he wasn't my favorite.
Right.
Silver Surfer was my favorite.
Okay, well, your hero's only as good as your villain. Who's your favorite villain? Mine's Darth Vader, baby. So that's you.
Thanks, man. No, I take that. I love that. That's freaking awesome. I grew up watching The Predator, and I always thought he was freaking badass. And now
You've been the Predator? I forget.
I am the Predator. Yep, I'm the Predator. I'm the apex Predator. I'm the biggest of the Predators in the last movie, The Predator, with Shane Black directing.
Which is behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Your mask is behind you.
Yes, that's one of the Predator masks, and there's Vader's head up there.
Oh, nice. Yes. Okay.
But yeah, I grew up watching The Predator. I love The Predator, and comic books. I love Galactus.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I'm hoping he's phase 2 of Marvel's universe, because
they've hinted at it.
He's almost unbeatable. He's unbeatable. I don't know how you would even fight that, but that would be really neat. I would dig that. I think that would be really fun, really cool.
Yeah. I love an epic bad guy, and that's why Vader as a child, it's funny watching my nephews now being young and being at that age where I was when the first Star Wars and then Empire came out, and it was just like, oh, I was Luke Skywalker for like 3 Halloweens in a row, I think, or something. But now my nephews all want to be Vader.
Dude, he was always the coolest. I mean, just from a recognition.
Not even just because of James Earl Jones, just the character himself.
Just character himself is so cool. He just kind of walked out and said 4 words, and you're like, dude, don't mess with that dude. That's the coolest. That was pure awesome. And that's probably one of the best all-time bad guys ever. Cinematically speaking, that is one of the best bad guys ever.
So who's your real life hero? Who inspires you in life?
Dude, man, I gotta say,
alive or dead, anyone.
I gotta say, I cannot tell you how impressed I am with Barack Obama. I mean, look at his shirt. Barack Obama, you love him or hate him, he was the United States' first Black president, and he had to put up with stuff. He's
still putting up with stuff.
His worst faux pas in office, his biggest mistake, was wearing a tan suit. That is what they gave him crap for. They unloaded the hounds of hell when he came out wearing a tan suit. That was the thing that they bombed on him. Trump, man,
take your pick.
Any single day you could pick any 2 things that he does on any given day that he tweets, and it's worse than that. But Obama carried the office with absolute dignity. He never went to the low road. He always went high. He never went low. And that kind of dignity, and they still call him classless. They call his wife a man, transgender, whatever it is.
Because she showed her arms. She went sleeveless. How dare her?
That is strength. They show class and strength. And I now have a different perspective. When somebody opens their mouth and they say something so base, to attack them on such a childish level, so puerile, that I'm like, oh, that's sad for you. Yeah. That speaks a lot about you. And I aspire to that, especially when I get drawn into these arguments on social media, or I want to attack. I'm just like,
you're more patient than I am, sir. I've gone through your comment sections.
I start to, the words come to my mouth and my fingertips, and the rage comes, and then I'm like, and it sounds dumb, but I'm like, would Obama? No, he would not. He would show love, and he would explain it, and then he would quietly walk away and let you sit with that. Right. And I try to do that. I fail a lot, but I try.
We live in a hypocritical world as it is. Oh, speaking of which, so when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? And how do you balance a family life and your professional life?
How do you get from hypocritical to married?
because that's the kind of questioning people ask women in their professions.
Oh.
And I promised Elena Huffman I was going to start asking men on my podcast that kind of crap.
Okay, Elena Huffman, I see how it is. All right, you deserve it. All right, Elena. I don't even think about that, man. I love what I do. I love to be with the people that I'm with and the people that wish to share their time with me. I love that. I am fortunate to have incredible friends and wonderful, special people in my life, and I continue to count my blessings in that regards daily. I couldn't do the things that I do without the team that supports me regularly. And to that point, to the parents who brought me up with the values and the work ethic that I have, they were blue collar people. They worked their asses off to give me the opportunity that I used to get here. And my parents, my mom, she worked so hard. My dad worked so hard every single day. And it's because of them and the team that surrounds me and my tribe, my Mind's Eye tribe. All those people together, they make it possible for me to do the great things that I do. So friends like Darren Ross and all kinds of incredible people, my great friends, and you, Casey.
The family you choose. The family you
without
choose.
you, that is your tribe, and that's why we think tribe is important. We have to support each other. It's not about me; it's about us. I think Cory Booker says it all the time. If you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together.
That's a good saying. That's just good stuff right there. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. That is some wisdom to leave out on. So go to Mind's Eye Tribe. Here's the information right below TJ right there. So if you want to learn more about the art and everything of motion capture and how to be a better actor in general, I definitely recommend this man, besides the fact that I just love him to death. Also follow him on his Instagram so you can see what he's up to next and all the cool things and what roles he's not allowed to talk about. And then that way, when after Godzilla kicks King Kong's butt in the next movie, you can go on there and be like, yeah, TJ. So anyway, brother, I just want to tell you aloha. And for those of you watching and listening that don't know what aloha means, that means hello. It also means I love you because I do love you, TJ. And it means goodbye. And I cannot wait to see you somewhere down the road.
Down the road.